Hello, I'm PJ Bishop. Welcome to my channel and the ongoing series with the Oakland A's. In this video, we're going to go over our top starting pitchers and closing prospects under the age of 25. These are guys that I do think at some point in their careers has a chance to make my MLB roster. It doesn't mean they will, because there's only so many spots that are available every year. And there's going to be a time where hopefully I have everyone considered a top prospect. I mean, it'll be difficult because that means they got to maintain their potential all the way up through the system. But that's the plan. I mean, that's the goal, is to just have an abundance of guys that I like and just keep picking the ones that are doing well. So let's start with our number one starting pitching prospect, and that's Eric Matos, 18-year-old Cuban, currently in the Dominican Summer League. Looks like he's repeating it. He's got elite grade stuff. So when I name all this is not what his current stuff obviously is. It's all potential. Average movement and then below average control. So his bread and butter is going to be his stuff. That's what is going to carry him either to the majors or not. I wish his fastball would improve. I hope his fastball improves over the next several years as he's coming up through the system, because that's probably going to be a reason why he's down at 50 instead of higher than that. But last year was his first season. He had an average ERA of 4.75. So last year at 17, so probably one of the younger guys in the entire league. He held his own, I would say. Mostly came in as a starter, as you can see, 14 games, 9 as a starter. Just 36 innings pitched. They don't pitch that many innings. A respectable ERA of 4.75. But he was striking out, as I would expect, at a high clip. As you can see here, 12.2 per 9. Did have a problem with giving up the long ball, as he was giving up nearly 2 per game. And of course, his control is going to be his weak point. But not bad. If he can continue developing and growing, I hope to bring him stateside next year. The way I do it is they stay in the summer league the entire season. I don't bring them over until after the year is concluded there. So hopefully he can play well enough. If he has another average season, even if it's average looking, but his ratings are improved enough to where he can come over stateside, I'll bring him over. Because that's another, I base it off of ratings and obviously how well they perform. If they're performing really well, I call them up. If the ratings suggest that they should perform well, I also call them up. Next on the list is 21-year-old Cade Crossland, currently at the Arizona Complex. Last year's 20th round pick. So he was my last round pick last year. So he didn't play any at all. Actually, it looks like he did play in the playoffs, as you can see here, against Arizona. So he did actually appear in the playoffs and did really well. As you can see, he gave up no earned runs, struck out 3, 2, and 2. So he actually did well. So he did make a brief appearance during our playoff run and actually made an impact. So that's pretty cool. But he's got plus stuff, above average movement, and average control. And he's got a good 3-pitch mix. No pitch is rated lower than plus. His stamina is a little low, so perhaps someday he'll transfer over to a full-time bullpen. He's got the stuff to be in the bullpen. In fact, if we set him to a reliever, what would he look like? His potential will instantly go up, and his current overall would also go up. So he would be much better suited for a bullpen role than a starting role. But as of now, we got him down as a starter, because we like to see if they can hold on to a starting gig before we force him over to the bullpen. If the guy can start, let him start. If he can't, then you move him to the bullpen. Next on the list is Thatcher Hurd, 22-year-old, currently in the Arizona Complex. Probably our first overall pick, currently the number 72 overall prospect. He did appear in a game last year. Looks like in the playoffs. Did not do well as his counterpart. Pitched in 3.1 innings. Gave up 3 earned runs. Walked 6. So he was just a walking machine. So finished the playoff run with an 8.1 ERA. So that didn't go so well for him. But as far as regular season, he has not pitched yet. We'll see what he does. He's got plus stuff, above average movement, and average control. He's got a good 4-pitch mix with his fastball being his big key pitch. As you can see, he's already got velocity at 95, 96. He sits around 95, 97, which is really good. I like pitchers that, especially in real life, I like guys that throw at least in the mid-90s and higher. I know they tend to get Tommy John quite often, but to me, having those guys that have high velocity and good stuff seems to always work out in real life and in games. So let's see what he does in his first full season here. Next on the list is Willie Ibarra, 16-year-old Dominican, currently at the Summer League. So he's very young. He was an international free agent signing, so I signed him out of this year's class. I like him. He's going to be, he might end up being 17 by the season's end. But a young kid with potential. He's got nearly plus stuff. His movement's below average, so it's going to be a little home runitis here. But he's got plus control, so the movement is what scares me. Looks like he's going to be a home run maestro, so that's something I might have to work on, get that movement up, because I like his stuff, I like his control. If that movement can be a little better, we might find ourselves a better pitcher. He's got a solid 3-pitch mix, so he's got some good stamina, so he's got potential to be a starter. His downfall is going to be that long ball. If he gives up too many long balls, and he's an extreme fly ball guy too, so yeah, doesn't bode well when your movement is 45 and your home run is down to 40. So you are just giving up home runs. Even solo shots hurt. Next on the list is 22-year-old Ryan Johnson, currently at Low A, California, playing for Stockton. He was a second-round pick last year, and he had some action. Didn't do so well coming out of the gates. His ERA, as you see here, and he played in 9 games, started 9, so he actually pitched a decent amount of time. Just struggled. As you can see, his ERA was 5.76. Just struggled all across the board. The home run rate was, so home runs and walks. He's got above average stuff, above average movement, average control. He's got a solid 4-pitch mix, but TCR really hit him hard because he was much better than this when I drafted him, and now he looks like some average Joe. Like, why would you draft this guy in the second round? I wouldn't. But TCR really hurt. Currently number 83 overall ranked prospect. In my opinion, should be lower because this guy looks like he's just no longer what he used to be when I drafted him. But still, there's still good potential here. And hopefully things will correct themselves. Next, we have 24-year-old Jake Garland, currently at High A Lansing. He's an interesting character because he's here because of his movement and control, not because of his stuff. And the pitch mix isn't great. I think someday he should be in the bullpen. And he's probably going to come in more as a fireman because he's definitely not leading off as this great. He's not going to be a starter for sure in the majors. He should be working out of bullpen, and he will. But right now, he's good enough to be a starter in the lower leagues. And he did really well. I mean, last year for the Arizona and Low A, His ERA was in the 2s. So he's proven to be an extremely valuable pitcher in the minors. And he did okay in the playoffs. This is his playoff run, as you can see here. Aside from one game where he was getting blown up, he did pretty well, respectable. And you got to imagine it's the playoffs, so the other team has their top prospects. And really, other than one game of getting blown up, he held his own. And that's why you see him up at still at high A. I know you're wondering why is he at high A instead of. Oh no, he's been promoted, so he's progressing as you expect properly. So last year was the Arizona Complex and some low A, and now he's in high A, where I think he finished the season. I think he ended up helping them out in the playoffs. Next is 19-year-old Eric Gutierrez out of the Dominican Summer League. He did play for us last year. We got him in a trade from Miami, so I do like getting top prospects in trades. He's got above average stuff, above average movement, terrible control. So bullpen with his below average stamina as well. He's destined for the bullpen, but he's got a good 3-pitch mix. If he hits his potential, I think he'll be just fine as one of the lower end bullpen options. Not my top bullpen option, but a lower end long reliever. He did terrible from Miami, so they probably felt no pain departing from him. For us, he did really well, but was that? Yeah, that was in their Dominican. For us, he had a 2.28 ERA. I didn't quite promote him. I wanted to see a little more from him because that was only in 23 innings, and then of course, in Miami in 15 innings, almost the same amount really. He was performing the polar opposite. So I like to see, and he's still a teenager, and he should be for the entire year. I like to see if he can maintain something similar before I move him full-time stateside. Because the issue moving him full-time stateside is my Arizona complex is getting filled with draftees every single year, and hopefully good ones every single year, plus the guys that graduated from the year before from the summer league. So if you're not quite there yet, you might be in jeopardy of being. I don't keep them. I don't have a roster full of 80 guys. I cut the ones that I think aren't going to make it and keep my roster at a reasonable 36. Because I don't feel the need to have 80 guys when I know that most of them aren't ever going to make it. Next on the list is 24-year-old Jack Leiter, currently at AA Midland. We got him with a trade from Texas. It may end up being a good trade for Texas, as he might never fully progress and hit his full potential. He's got above average stuff, average movement, but the control is obviously his issue. He's got really good stamina as well. A good 4-pitch mix with the fastball and slider being his top 2 pitches, the fastball being a plus rated pitch. He just can't seem to control it. Last year, saw him play as low as high A to as high as AAA. But he's going to start at AA this year and see if he can just work his way up. Worst case scenario, I think sometime down the road he will be a long reliever. But we're going to give him all the chance to start as we possibly can. Let's take a look at our closing prospects. Got a couple of them here. First on the list is Drew Rarick, currently 18 years old out of the Arizona Complex. Last year's 6th-round pick. Drafted as a starter, but we'll see what it is. He was a high school player, so he's got many years ahead of him before we find out what it truly is. But this is, of course, in the bullpen, so his ratings do slightly change when it comes to this stuff. In the bullpen, he's got plus stuff. He's got a plus movement and just below average control. But he's got a 4-pitch mix that I love. His fastball and slider and curveball all projected to become plus pitches, and the changeup just below that at 65. So he's got an excellent 4-pitch mix. He's got good movement. The control is always going to be his issue, but currently it projects to be enough to still be a starter and enough to be something in the bullpen where I'm happy. Like if he remains in the bullpen as a closer, I can be happy with this. This is a pitcher that I would, even if he's all he does is develop as a closer in the future, I can still be happy with it because he looks like he could be. He looks like Mason Miller. That's what he reminds me of. Just looking at this real quick, looks like Mason Miller, but capable of starting because the stamina is high enough. So we'll see what he does. This will be his first full action. And the other kid is Steven Echevarria, currently at Low A Stockton, 19-year-old. Nearly hitting his potential. He's got above average stuff, average movement, and average control. So he's not looking like a bad pitcher. A solid 4-pitch mix, even a high stamina as well. So he's also somebody that could potentially start because his stuff isn't extremely high, even as a reliever. So this is definitely someone that could potentially slide back over to a starting role. But right now he's the closer probably at Low A. Because it's Low A, the options there aren't very high. But it looks like he's done well. Last year last year was his first full action of baseball. He did okay. Arizona Complex was obviously better for him. Low A, he was about average. It looks like he was participating in the high A playoffs and did really well. Not only did he play in the Low A. I don't think he played in the Low A playoffs, did he? I didn't promote him right before. I can't remember. But I know he participated in. He did. He did. He played in Low A in the Arizona Complex playoffs. Got himself one save, actually. So he's someone that's familiar with the postseason, even if it's a low division. But he's performed really well last year. I'm hoping he can perform similar at Low A Stockton and keep moving up the chain. Because he's really close to hitting his potential. He doesn't have that much more room to grow. I read something, and I don't know if it's true or not, that guys don't fully hit their potential until they're called up in the majors. So if he's 35 out of 40, they said that he will always hover around 35 out of 40, which I don't. If that's the case, I don't like that because that just doesn't make sense. So a guy just hits this mythical stone wall because he's not in the majors. What good would be calling up and playing once every week? Let's say if you're a batter, compared to playing every day in AAA baseball. It's not like he's playing against bad competition. AAA has plenty of guys that are capable of being in the majors. So it's kind of. I hope it's not true. Hope it's just a made up theory that we don't really know about. But anyway, that's it for this video. In the next video, we're going to go over our relieving pitchers, which we have a bevy of those guys as well.